The police officer who tasered a 95-year-old great-grandmother could have the charges against him upgraded to murder after her death on Wednesday night. Clare Nowland, a dementia sufferer who weighed just 43 kilos, died at Cooma Hospital in southern New South Wales Wednesday evening at around 7 p.m, surrounded by her family. There's the blessing. She did pass after being tasered by a police officer, but thankfully she was surrounded by her family at the time of her passing. The great-grandmother was tasered by Senior Constable Christian White, 33 years of age. This happened at the Yallambee Lodge aged care home in southern New South Wales, May 17th. Tragically, Clare Nowland suffered a brain bleed because of the incident. Senior Constable Christian White was charged with recklessly causing grievous bodily harm, assault occasioning actual bodily harm, and common assaults. Hours after Mrs. Nowland's death was announced, a leading barrister with decades of experience in the criminal justice system suggested that possibly Senior Constable Christian White's charges could be upgraded either to manslaughter or potentially even murder. The Sydney-based barrister said that it's more likely that his charges will be upgraded to manslaughter, but it could be murder. Murder requires intent to inflict grievous bodily harm. So the question would be whether or not Senior Constable Christian White intended to cause grievous bodily harm to the 95-year-old great-grandmother Clare Nowland. I can tell you a little bit about the initial incident. Mrs. Nowland was confronted by the senior constable at the aged care facility last week. She was holding a steak knife. She was using a walker when the senior constable shot her with a taser. The 95-year-old fell backwards and in so doing suffered a bleed on the brain. She was taken to hospital, and as we see, she has tragically since passed. The investigation is still ongoing. The officer has been suspended from duty with pay. I believe that's undergoing ongoing review, but currently the officer is suspended with pay. Some would question whether or not that's appropriate. And the final part of the article boggles my mind. The police commissioner has refused to release the body cam footage showing Mrs. Nowland, the 95-year-old great-grandmother, being tasered. She's refused to release the body cam footage of the incident, and further to that, she's refused to view the body cam footage herself. This is the police commissioner of New South Wales, I believe, a senior member of the police department in charge of the investigation in regards to the death of a 95-year-old great-grandmother at the hands of a senior constable. There's body cam footage of it, video evidence, and she's choosing not to watch it. I don't understand that. I scroll through a lot of articles, a lot of threads on the internet every day. I'm sure perhaps you do too. And I don't necessarily go out looking for gore or tragic accidents or such, but they certainly do appear in my feed. I'm going to make a video in a moment of a man who lost his life after being pushed in front of a train. The culprit walks away, is released, even though it's caught on camera. What's my point there? My point is that I watched the video footage of a man being pushed underneath a train. It appeared in my internet feed, and I watched it. Maybe you disagree, and maybe my following words are going to be a little bit clumsy, but I'm going to say that it's common or regular to watch videos like this of tragedies. I'm sure some people get sick pleasure, or, they relish it. I don't relish it. It shocks me. And maybe I don't run a million miles away from such websites that do show such footage because perhaps to some degree I've got an aspect of morbid curiosity or what have you to what I would consider a normal level. Perhaps I'm wrong. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I'm just trying to make the point that I can't understand why a senior person within the police force, the actual police commissioner, is refusing to watch the body cam footage of this incident. Why is she literally, I think it's a woman, why is she literally choosing to be so ignorant on the subject? She's in the police. She's the police commissioner. Shouldn't she be able to better understand the incident by watching the incident unfold on video footage? I don't understand how she's refusing to not watch the video. It's deliberately being ignorant. I understand not releasing the footage to the public, or at least I understand that there could be strong reasons for doing so. Certainly to release the footage to the public would be potentially likely harmful, hurtful for the family. They wouldn't want it out there to be gawked at like a spectacle. But for the police commissioner practitioner not to watch the video is just crazy in my mind. So with that, I'll clarify, I've not seen the footage of this tragedy, and with that, I don't know the full details. Mrs. Nowland was holding a steak knife, so I guess technically she was armed, but she was using a walker. She was 95 years old. Was she really posing a threat? No, not really, in all likelihood. And should the constable have had an understanding that tasing a 95-year-old may cause serious injury or death? I would dare say that they would have had to have such an understanding. I think it's fair to say that tasing anybody poses risks. What other tactics could the police have employed? Well, I wasn't there, I've not seen the footage, I don't really know, but I would have thought perhaps some patience, perhaps evacuating everyone from the area, have a couple of officers, talk with her, try to talk her down from her anxious state if that is the case. Just apply some patience. She was literally incapable of running towards anybody with the knife, literally incapable. She was using a walker, 95 years old. So it seems to me, my guess is that the special constable is clearly in the wrong. I would think that would be my take on it. That's seemingly everyone else's take on it. And I would hope that he gets a fair trial. I do generally feel that police officers need to be given at least some level of leniency. It depends on each circumstance, of course, but by and large, my take on it is police officers, perhaps particularly in the United States, given your proliferation of guns, but generally speaking, police officers put themselves at risk of physical harm, injury, or death multiple times each and every shift. And with that, they do have to take rash action. They have to take very quick action, and when you're taking very quick action, very firm action, there's always going to be the risk of errors being made or the least optimal option being taken. Mistakes can happen. I think police in general need to be allowed some level of leniency given what's asked of them. If Mrs. Nowland happened to be youthful, in her 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, holding a steak knife, threatening to stab somebody, posing a threat to the officers, then I likely would have no question about the justification of an officer using a taser if she posed a genuine threat. But seemingly, at the age of 95, even though at some point she's jumped out of an airplane, according to the pictures, we see her skydiving at an elderly age. Not quite sure how old she would have been at that point, but I can't imagine her having too much ability to pose an actual threat at the age of 95. So anyway, those are the details within the article. Full condolences to the family and friends, the workers at the aged care facility. I hope an investigation goes ahead. I hope there is justice, but I hope that some level of understanding and leniency is afforded the officer. I hope that he doesn't suffer a complete witch hunt if it's undeserved. And given that I've not seen the footage, we've not seen the footage, not even the police commissioner has seen the footage, then we can't really make an absolute judgment. Sure, it certainly doesn't look good. So there we go. There's my video. Perhaps you've agreed with some of my points. Perhaps you're disgusted by some others. Either way is fine. If you appreciate the video, please do like, comment, subscribe, share the video as you see fit. Consider joining my memberships. I've got only 2,000 more to go. 2,000 more members that I'm looking for until I hit my goal of 2,000. So I'll thank you for your time. Take care.